Hey everyone, welcome to the Healthy Team Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Erickson, and this is the show where we explore how leaders create workplaces and communities that support their health, well being, and purpose. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Shawn Satterfield, a change maker and founder and CEO of Shine Music. And Shawn is an inclusion architect, and I'm super stoked to learn all about what that means. And Shawn is dedicated to designing experiences, both live and digital, that are accessible and welcoming to everyone. Under Shawn's leadership, Shine Music helps people of all abilities come together to experience the power of live music in an environment that's built for inclusion from the ground up. And Shine Music is proving when we prioritize inclusion, we all shine a little bit brighter. Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Well, you're so welcome. Shawn, let's kick things off by having you tell us what inspired you to become an inclusion architect and what does that role mean to you at a deeper level?
Absolutely. Well, I think that once my eyes were opened to the lack of accessibility and inclusion, we all look at it, or I did anyway, prior to 2018, of, oh, there's ADA laws and there's ADA sections at shows or events. And I never really thought of anyone being, anybody can go to a show if they want, or they can. Most of the things in this world are we look at it as being accessible. And then once I kind of actually saw behind the curtain on that and realized that's not true at all, I had the choice of either kind of saying, well, that's not really my problem, or um, making it my problem and taking a step. And so it really flipped my world upside down, to be quite honest. I was pretty content in what I was doing, and as soon as those blinders were off, it just started pointing out all of the different areas in life that are not accessible and not inclusive. And so I took that to mean everything from my for profit that we used to build enterprise level web sites. And we don't do that anymore. We do web accessibility certifications and testings and consulting on how to make their digital products more accessible. And then I started my nonprofit, Shine Music. And that, of course, is all about making live music accessible. And I don't think people realize that everybody sees the ADA sections. And I ask, my big question to everyone is, well, how many of you have met people at a concert or an event? And everybody has. I'm like, have you ever met anybody that sits in an ADA section? And their answer is no. And it's because there are boundaries placed around those individuals. It's literally segregation. I know that people don't like to use those words, but that's what it is. They're separating individuals based upon their ability. And I just wanted to try and create a space where everyone had access to the community that live music creates. And so I created Shine Music.
Wow, that's beautiful. Shawn, Shine Music isn't your average festival. It's designed for everyone. Can you share what that looks like in practice and why it's so important?
Yeah. Well, the interesting part about it was that I assumed that surely there were other organizations in the world that did what Shine Music does. And not only did I find out that there weren't, but the Guinness Book of World Records actually did their own research and found that we are, in fact, the world's largest universally designed music festival. And and so there wasn't anyone or anything or any entity to look to and see how they did it. We had to create this from the ground up, and which is very difficult when you're trying to get sponsors or just even get people to understand the mission when there's nothing that they can look at as an example. And so we just set out to think about a process of going to a music festival and from beginning to end, what that looked like for individuals once we removed abilities. So, what does that look like for an individual that's blind or low vision? What does that look like for a deaf or hard of hearing? What does that look for someone in a wheelchair? All the way down to Parkinson's, right? They've gotten rid of cups or lids and straws, and it's like, well, individuals with Parkinson's or mobility issues can't really go and hold an open glass and expect that to work out. So we really had to think everything through, and what we've done is we have embedded different technologies and different features that each community has helped us create. So we worked with the autism community store here in Colorado and talked about and learned about the neurodivergent, which is such a vast um, spectrum of different abilities. And what does that look like? And okay, well, there's loud noise, and some individuals have, for example, if you've been to a festival or been even to a live show or even to a restaurant, know that it's not quiet. There's a lot of stuff going on. You're talking to the person with you. There's music usually. There's people talking at other tables. Well, there are some individuals when that happens that everything just kind of blanks out and they really can't hear anything or make sense of anything that is being said. So, implementing things like headphones that connect directly to the soundboard so that allows them to actually hear the music coming from the stage and eliminate all the background. So it's just things like that. We've have vibrotactile dance floors and we had closed captioning glasses that allowed people who were there as they were speaking to see the captioning come across the bottom of the glasses. Interpreters. We just kind of really think it all through, and then our event, the Shine Music Festival, is a celebration of all of these different things that we showcase to show that it is possible. And to date, we've shared this free community event with over 15,000 people. And it's not just people in Colorado. Last year, we had people from Florida and California and Minnesota and Iowa, and they've all traveled and they all were within the disability community, which is interesting, right? I'm fortunate enough to have seen live music all over the world, and I know how much of a of a strain that can be. And now you add it on if you have a disability. But we had some blind people that came all the way from Florida, and it's sad and exciting that they had to come that far to go to an event that took their needs into consideration. But we were honored and proud that we were a place for them to come. And the beautiful part of it is a lot of people think that when you say inclusion or accessibility, that it's only for people with disabilities, and it's not. It's for everybody. And what's great is that when you take down those barriers and you have people of all abilities on the dance floor together, we everybody just finds out very quickly that we're so much more alike than we are different. And that's how you make change, is when you remove those barriers and allow people to be themselves, and experience the same thing in their own terms and their own timing. It's a beautiful thing that happens.
Wow, that beautiful is the right word. I mean, because when I think of live music, I do think of community. We're sharing an experience together, and I can just imagine, how emotional that must have felt to some people to feel like, here's my people, I belong, and I'm accepted here. That must have just truly been beautiful to have orchestrated that and made that come together.
Yeah, every year. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to put on, especially in this climate right now. Raising money is really difficult, and when you're trying to explain what it is and get those corporate dollars, it's definitely difficult. And man, as soon as the event happens, all the stress from the whole year of putting it together just fades away, and you see the smiles and you watch people, who are standing there and 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 just suddenly, you're kind of watching it because you don't know what's going to happen. That's a little terrifying, to be honest. Is the first time we had it in 2021, we didn't know, is this going to work? And it did. And it's just, it impacts everybody. And it not only impacts the people in the audience, but it's the people who are providing the magic, the performers. they're getting to witness people experience their music in a way that they've never been able to before. And so there's usually a lot of tears behind stage after they get off the stage. And it's really amazing to see it just have a ripple effect on everyone who's there.
You know, that's a great point, and I can only imagine that for you and your team, there must have been a lot of stress leading up to the event, a lot of pressure. How is this going to come off? Is everything going to work? Because there's just so many different moving parts. There's different types of technology. It's all got to integrate. And what was that moment like when you just kind of realized, wow, this is working?
Yeah, I vividly remember that moment. It was the first year actually, and everything was going wrong. It was the day that Denver beat Beijing in worst air quality. It was horrendous, and, the governor was looking at, halting all things that were on government property outside events, and here we are, we had an extra stage being built, all of the vendors were up. I'm on a phone call listening in to find out, is this go where we had our event was on government property, and I'm like, "What are we gonna do?" "This is it. We're gonna be done. We're not gonna make any we're gonna lose all of the money. We're not gonna This is it." And thankfully, um, he didn't cancel it. However, it was 101 degrees, and it was in a very, sunny space, no shade, and we still had 3,800 people come, and 30% of those people were individuals with disabilities, and it was for me, that's how much it meant to them. It was hot. It was a hot day, and they still came because they wanted to see what this looked like. They wanted to experience music in this new way. And, and then someone said to me, and I can repeat it word for word because it impacted my life from that moment forward. She said to me, "Thank you for giving me the gift of a music festival that I was able to navigate on my terms and my timing. It's the first in time in my life I've been able to experience something like this without the need of a sighted person. I'm so happy. I had so much fun. I can't wait for next year."
Wow,
And that
wow,
was
how
it.
impactful.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I went into the, autism sensory bus and cried for a little bit after that moment. I think it was a lot of stress, but, it was just being relieved in that I knew if I had impacted one person in that way, just one person, that was enough. And I knew that there were a lot of other people that I impacted that I didn't hear about, and every year we hear new people. Last year was a guy who had to give up, going to live music because he it was so stressful, and he had epilepsy among some other, he was on the spectrum, and he would have seizures. This event of just getting there was so stressful, and he had a brand new son, and his wife said, "Look, you just can't do this anymore. It's not worth the risk." And he came up to me, and he had the headphones on, and, he said, "Do you have a second?" And of course I did, and he told me the story, and he said he just had tears coming down his cheeks and said, You've given me the gift that I didn't think I was ever gonna get to have again. I can do live music. I can be a part of this." And that was it. Every year there's something like that. And I feel like the universe just puts those people in front of me to tell me to keep going, to keep moving forward no matter how hard it is.
Well, and I would think your sponsors for the event must be thrilled to be able to participate in such a great cause. And I'll bet they have a great time going to the event themselves and seeing their dollars uh, put to work, and the people deriving so much enjoyment and just having fun, enjoying some great live music together.
Exactly. It's nice to see businesses, give back to the community, and that's one of the things. The Shine Music Festival is free, And that means we need to raise all the money ourselves to pay for the cost of doing that. And so it's nice to have these organizations that believe in their community and want to strengthen it. And music is the only platform that really can do what it does, right? It's the only place where nothing else matters. We're all there for a collective experience, and that community of live music is life changing. It can be life changing, and I just want to make sure everyone has access to that if they want it.
Shawn, when we're thinking about teams, what misconceptions do people still have about accessibility? Maybe they could have a team member who might have some challenges or what have you. Do you have any help or suggestions for those people?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's a really good point, Mark. A lot of businesses, in my experience, the majority of them see bringing on an individual with disabilities as an extra cost, a liability. It's going to take a lot of extra effort and work. And I will tell you that that is so not true. They will bring so much more to the team than you could have ever expected. And there are so many technologies out there today with screen readers and other devices that allow individuals who have disabilities to be to really participate in corporate America in the workforce. And um, I will tell you that I know that our my life has been enriched by that, and I work with one a lot of the things that has led Shine has led me to is working and consulting with other companies on that line, and I work with three separate companies that are all owned by and ran by 100% blind individuals. And let me tell you, they don't need me. They call me sighty. I'm the sighty. I'm the only sighted person in their organization. And I'm simply there when they get handed over something like a document from another company that is fully inaccessible. And a screen reader can't sending over an image. That's a perfect example. I don't know how many times people send over PDFs that are as an image and there's no text. And so the screen reader doesn't read anything. Those are the kinds of things that I help them with. But they that's they do everything that we do, and anybody who thinks differently, that's one thing they need to, I think, also to be aware of is disability is one of those things that you don't need to be born with. You could be just fine today and you wake up tomorrow and things are different. And you're going to sure at that moment, you're sure going to wish and hope that your job and your community are there behind you to help you get back up on your feet and continue to do what you know how to do and what you do best. And I think there's a big misconception that people think that individuals with disabilities just want to sit back and collect their SSI check. And that's just not the case. It's just not the case. It's just like any other subset of society. There are some individuals that, yeah, they don't want to do anything. Well, that's but there are other individuals that want to make a living and want to succeed and want to be successful. They want to have careers. They want to make an impact. There's just because someone has a disability doesn't make them not human, and they have all the goals and ambitions that everybody has. So, I think it's a very narrow-minded way to look at things if you don't want to have, an individual on your team who is qualified to do the work just simply because they have a disability. I think that's, I know that I wouldn't want to even do business with an organization. I would if and there are those are individuals there are definitely companies out there that are like that, and the rumor gets around, and you choose not to do business with those types of businesses.
Right, right. Well, and I think customers have respect for businesses that bring in people of all different abilities. I know I do personally, and that will absolutely influence my shopping decision, what
100%,
store I
100%.
might go to.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there is a restaurant that I went to, and I don't remember the name of it. It's like an hour away from where I live, and I walked in, and there was a sign on the door that I kind of I guess I subconsciously read it, but and when I got in there, I realized they had actually they have employees and servers that have Down syndrome, and it was the best experience. It was so great, and I mean, I know I wrote an immediate I think I got to my car and wrote the review. It was delicious food. It was a great atmosphere. It was a really cool looking, restaurant, and the service was the best I've ever had, and I just loved it, and if it was and I remember telling the person at the counter, I went or at the front when I was leaving, I said, "Man, I just wish you were closer to me. I would be here all the time." Uh, it's, yeah, I think that, it's kinda like ice cream, right? Vanilla's great, but man, there's a lot of different other flavors, and it's like if all you're doing is just being around people who are like you, that's a pretty boring world in my opinion. Like, spice it up, get some people in there with different abilities and, it's just, I know that my life is much more complex because of what I started with Shine Music, but I wouldn't trade anything for what I know now and the wonderful, beautiful people that I have in my life because of Shine Music.
Well, Sean, that's interesting because so many businesses are just so driven to get these reviews. And I got to tell you, if I had an experience like you did, I would do the same thing. I would just immediately, I'd go to Yelp, I'd go to
Yep.
Google, I'd be writing. Not only would I be writing reviews, but I'd be telling all my friends at the next barbecue, oh my God, I had this amazing experience because I'd want them to have that experience too. And anyway,
Yeah.
so I think a lot of businesses are, that aren't doing that yet are really missing the boat.
They really are. And I will tell you, I have a board member that has a very rare disease, disability, and I will tell you, I've never met anybody more intelligent. Uh, he is he just draws circles around the rest of us. He is so smart. And he went, graduated top of his class from Regis University, and while getting a trach, while his disease was continuing to progress, and he still did that. Um, you definitely stop making excuses when you start also that's the other thing is, like, how can I make an excuse when I'm fortunate right now, right now I have all my abilities and there's nothing that's preventing me from doing anything that I wanna do, really, and I see Ethan who just really has to work so hard to, he wants to be a part of society. He wants to contribute, and he is a brilliant mind. I mean, look at Stephen Hawkins, right? I mean, we've seen it, we see it, and it's interesting that everybody makes a big, oh, he was able to do that, and he had even though he had a disability, it's like he's just a human being that was born intelligent, and he happened to also be born with a disability, but he's a human being first and foremost, and the disability didn't discount anything that he was capable of doing. So, it's yeah, it's an interesting thing, and like I said, I mean, I can't say it enough. It's a much more beautiful world when everybody's included.
Love it. Sean, what helps you and your team stay grounded and healthy when you're doing such emotionally and logistically challenging work?
So, that's a really good point, Mark, and one of the reasons why I wanted to be on your podcast when you, reached out was I think that there's something that happens when a business grows and becomes, bigger and bigger and bigger, and you've got multiple offices and you have 1,000 employees, and they suddenly think that the mental health and the overall work-life balance, of your employees is, oh, you have too many of them. You just simply cannot do that. I think that is a I think that's a cop out. I think that's an excuse because it does not take any effort to just treat people like humans. And so it is very stressful. Shine Music has no paid staff. Every single thing, every single person involved, including myself, does it for free, volunteers. We're doing other jobs to pay our bills, and then Shine is really a full-time job on top of that. So we do check-ins and I check in with everyone. How are you doing? What can we do to help you? Everybody knows that if they need help, they reach out to the team and we will all come together and figure out a way to get something done. Um, it's about being respectful of the fact that whether they're paid employees or not, they're individuals that without them you would not have a business. And they are not replaceable. And when you get to a point where you think they're just numbers and you can just fill the spot with someone else, I think you've lost touch. And unfortunately, you see a lot of these organizations and they make millions and even billions of dollars. Um, I think it's possible to make millions and billions of dollars and still care about your employees. Every single one of them, from the C-suite to the person who cleans up every night when the office closes. Every single person on your team matters. And if you have that mindset, you will be successful. Everybody just wants to be seen. Everybody wants to just be valued. And when your employees feel that way, they believe in your business and they believe in you and they will do what they need to do to make your business successful. It's a win-win.
It really is. And I think that's just another way to show employees that you truly care. And, employers are always concerned about turnover, if nothing else, because it's expensive and it's a lot of effort to train people. But if they really authentically care about the people in their teams and in their companies, um, they're going to be repaid with loyalty, by and large.
Yeah, those are the kinds of employees that stay with businesses. I mean, Mark, I'm gonna guess you're of the generation like I am where, our parents started a job, early, 16, 18 years of age and stayed with them until they retired. And you don't see that anymore. And I think a lot of it is in part to just not feeling valued. I think that um I mean, I just would never I don't know. I don't know where it switched. I don't know what the mindset I mean, it seems to be that enough is never enough in sometimes in corporate America, "Oh, we made 10,000,000, that's not enough, and then we made 100,000,000, it's not enough, and we made 1,000,000,000, it's not enough." And and their mindset is so much on that bottom line, on that quota that is made up by a board of directors that has no idea about the actual work that is involved in making those numbers happen, and they don't know any of the employees or care about any of the employees. And um, I really truly believe that when you care about your employees as much as you care about the money will come and the employees will stay and you won't have turnover and everything works and everything is happy. And I don't understand the concept. I don't understand any organization that doesn't get that.
Shawn, as a nonprofit founder and CEO, would you mind sharing some lessons that you've learned about leading a team and keeping them aligned with your core mission?
Oh, there's so many lessons, Mark. So many. I have failed epically on multiple times. I'm human. In the stress of it's a very stressful event to put on. And no matter how prepared you are, there's always something that's going to go awry. And so, you know, I think that if when I have to catch myself as the quote leader. I don't really see it that way. I think that I mean, Shine Music wouldn't exist without my team, period. But when I'm feeling stressed, I know that every single other person is. There's no way that they're not. And I think it's not about dismissing it. It's about calling it out for what it is. Hey guys, I know that our event is in, well, let's just do 2023. We needed to move our event, an entire festival, from a unlimited capacity space to a small 3,000 capacity space. And we had 30 days to do it. I'm telling you, Mark, that was the most mentally unhealthy 30 days of my life. It was bad. And we were all stressed out, and we were, just we didn't know if we could do it. We didn't know what was going to happen. This is going to be a disaster. Um and we had to do daily check-ins. It was like, hey guys, this is not great, right? This sucks right now. This is bad. I don't know. Maybe we should have canceled. Maybe we should have. And we would talk each other off the ledge every day. And you know what? It was our best year that we've ever had. It was, we would walk past each other at the show and be like, we'd just smile and nod our head like, wow, we almost canceled this. This is mind-blowingly great. And I think it's not about putting it under the rug, right? It's not just like putting it in a corner, we'll deal with it later. It's dealing with it when it happens. How are you feeling? What are your ideas? How can we get through this? It's acknowledging that things are difficult. It's acknowledging the struggle, because just pretending that it doesn't exist does not help. There's no solution that comes from that. So when you're in that situation, regardless of what your business is, don't pretend to hide it, or don't pretend that it doesn't exist, because every single one of your employees knows. They all know. When the C-suite is stressed out, everybody is stressed out, because it trickles all the way down. And so just be honest, be forthcoming, talk about the struggles, and let the people who are in the middle of it have a voice. Because even if you aren't going to do what they're suggesting, just letting them have a voice and listening is huge. Plus, you never know, they may have the answer, right? I mean, we all go into these I won't name any names. We'll go into these big stores, and you're like, man, this just doesn't make sense. Like this checkout, this doesn't make sense. And the cashier is like, oh, I know, this is ridiculous. I'm like, did they ask you guys what works? Nope. So they just came in and changed the entire way the checkout procedure goes without asking anyone who actually works in this space every day. Nope, they never talked to any of us. So just corporate came in, made this change, and that was that. She's like, yep. And they didn't talk to the customers, because the customers would have told them it was bad. And there it is. Now it's done. They've spent millions of dollars on implementing something that doesn't work, when the way it worked great. And that's it. Listening. If they just would have listened, or they even would have asked. So I think that's the big thing. Don't be so disconnected. Don't sit in your penthouse office and not be I've worked for organizations where you couldn't go to the top floor. There was security. And if you didn't have the badge, you couldn't go up there. I was like, well, I'm an employee of this company, and I want to go talk to the CEO. I want to go talk to the president. No, they don't want to talk to you. And even actually have been told in an instance where you don't talk to them. If you're in the elevator with them, you don't talk to them. Well, I mean, I didn't obviously stay in that job very long, but it's I don't you'll never be as successful as you can be in that mindset. So I'd say my number one lesson is, you don't know it all as a business owner. Just because your name's on the president title there doesn't mean you know about every aspect of how your business works. So listen to the people who are making your business work. Let them have a voice. Give them the opportunity to speak up about what works and what doesn't work. That's how you build a great company.
Oh, that's very, very, very profound. And I think, as you said, it's particularly important when things get tough, as they often do. And there's kind of a difference. People talk about stoicism and so forth. And, personally, I don't think that's the way to go, to grind it out. Sometimes we absolutely do have to persevere, but we can do so with humanity and with caring for our coworkers. And
100%. Yeah.
great job, by the
That
way, for persevering, seeing it through there, and how rewarding must that have been to see it come off and to look at each other and think, God, we did this
we
in
saved
spite of
a
everything. You
we
say,
saved a 7-year-old boy's life that year. That 30 days was I mean, had if I had the money, I would have taken my entire team away for a weekend of just to, like, relax and get pampered because it was bad. We were working nonstop. I mean, I think I was getting 2 hours sleep for that every night that month, and my whole team was. And, we saved a little boy's life that year. We had an anti-bullying uh, kind of speaker that came in between sets, and this poor little boy um, was really becoming a shell of a human. He was being bullied so bad, and I actually was on some other call when this woman was also like a participant, and she private messaged me in the chat and said, I just needed to let you know that Shine Music Festival saved my son's life. And I was like, wait, who is this that sent this to me? And he realized he was empowered at that moment. And he actually created his own nonprofit for anti-bullying. And he is a whole different child. He is vibrant and excited about life and excited about change. That's what we did by persevering. It was difficult, it was tough, but we as a team, my team is what did it. And they made it through and no one gave up. Not one person on my team gave up. And I will tell you there were times that I wanted to give up and we never did. And that's what teamwork is. Teamwork can just change everything.
can change the world, right?
It really can. That's our goal,
Yeah.
right? Just making enough
Yeah.
ripples that those ripples turns into tides and those tides turn into huge change.
Shawn, thank you so much for your time today. Great conversation. And if you don't mind, would you share how our listeners can find you, learn more about Shine Music, and how people, our listeners, might be able to support your mission, whether as individuals, businesses, or community members?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity, Mark. Our website is shinemusic.rocks, ROCKS, and that's our nonprofit website that kind of tells a little about our story and about how you can reach out about sponsorships. Right now, we actually did pause. We call it a pause with a purpose for this year. So it would have been our fifth annual Shine Music Festival, but we are going to have it next year. But we just knew that we needed to take it to the next level and really um, every year we learn something new, but it's just so constant go, 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 and trying to raise funds to pull off the event while also implementing all of the things that we learned from the previous year were just so too much. And I actually noticed I think that the mental health of my team, I was worried about. I knew that my mental health was struggling from all the pressure. So uh, we are pausing this year, having it for 2026. We are looking for sponsors. We're looking for corporations and businesses and people in the community that want to be a part of this amazing event because 2026 is going to be epic by giving us this extra year to really implement all of the stuff. So shinemusic.rocks is where to go and reach out, and we're really excited to unveil everything that we were able to put together with this extra time.
Oh, fantastic. And I'm very excited for you and
Thank you.
for that event next year.
Thank you.
Shawn, thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Team Podcast. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe. Share the podcast with your team members or anybody who has an interest in creating great workplace culture. And we'll be back soon with more conversations to help you build stronger, healthier teams. And until next time, stay well and lead well. Thank you so much, Shawn.